At 16, my mom kicked me out at 8:45 p.m. in October. Rain, get out, thief, my sister cried. $420 stolen. Dad checked the ATM records, and her lie cracked. My mother usually played favorites with my sister, so I said no. I got out, established my own life, and went on. But they were not finished with me yet. Before we get into it, let me start at the beginning. My name's Mason. 29 now. Work for a design business that creates sustainable agricultural equipment. Boring until you discover why tractors exist, and someone has to make them stop sucking. I got engaged last year to a girl who truly understands me. Life is decent these days. It wasn't always like this. Dad used to oversee a printing business while I was growing up. Worked largely at night. Mom stayed at home until Brianna and I reached middle school. Then she began performing part-time administrative work at a dental facility. Brianna is 3 years older than me. I have always been the golden child. I was the spare tire. The one you keep in your trunk just in case. 48 degrees, rain falling sideways. In Michigan, October is a serious month. And standing on my front porch at 8:45 p.m. When I was 16, all I had was a bag and soggy sneakers, and I discovered how quickly your life can end without you dying. My sister Brianna thought I was a suitable target during my sophomore year. Through the living room window, I saw her on the couch with my mother, weeping into tissues, as if she had recently endured something horrific. My mother had that expression on her face, like she'd already chosen who was guilty and who needed to be protected. Brianna was 19, 3 years older, and had spent our whole lives as the one who mattered. I was the spare, the one who ran cross-country and mended things around the house without causing any difficulties. Dad worked nights supervising a printing factory, therefore he was not around for the drama. The performance was limited to me, my mother and Brianna. Mom had always been very protective of Brianna. I thought she recognized herself in Brianna. Same anxiety issues, same desire for affirmation, and same proclivity to spiral when things become tough. Brianna was Mom's mirror, while I looked and acted like Dad. That made her worth preserving and rendered me disposable. The dynamic has been developing for years. Mom jumped in whenever Brianna needed help with something. Failed a test? Mom phoned the instructor to protest the grade. Was cut from the volleyball squad. Mother complained to the athletic director about partiality. Meanwhile, I'd bring home straight A's, and Mom would look at the report card, say, "Good job," and then return to whatever catastrophe was going on that week. I quickly learnt that being low maintenance meant being invisible. I had been in practice 2 hours earlier. Coach Bennett made us do hill repeats until our legs went to jello. I got home at 6:10, intending to shower and bed. Mom's Camry was in the driveway. Brianna's room had music playing. Wednesday is normal. Then I came into the kitchen and discovered Mom standing there with her arms crossed, her face stiff and chilly. "Sit down." I sat. Brianna entered from the living room, eyes red, carrying her phone as proof. Mom did not waste time. "Brianna informed me what you did and how you've been withdrawing money from her account. Small quantities, assuming she wouldn't notice." The allegation fell strangely. Too specific, but also too ambiguous. "What exactly are you talking about? Do not lie to me." Mom's voice rose half an octave. "She has proof. Transactions, dates, and everything." Brianna took up her banking app and showed me the information. Withdrawals during the last 3 months. 25 here, 45 there, and 70 last week. Added amounted to about $420. I did not do any of that. Then explain how money disappears immediately after you use her laptop. Brianna's voice cracked wonderfully. "You're the only person who knows my passwords." I did not know her passwords. Did not use her laptop. She hadn't touched her laptop in perhaps 8 months. Not since she became anxious about privacy and began keeping it locked in her room. But the way she looked at me, none of it mattered. She had already composed the narrative in her mind. This is ridiculous. Check the security cameras where she withdrew it. Check her transaction history. I do not even have access to. You stole from your sister. Mom shut me off. Your own sister has been saving for college. Do you know how sick that is? Brianna was weeping harder now. Really selling it. Academy Award performance. I saw her shoulders quiver and tears trickle down her cheeks, and something in my belly wrenched because I recognized this girl. I knew when she was fake. We had grown up in the same house. I had seen her rehearse sobbing in front of the mirror before asking her mother for something. This was that times 10. I tried 3 more times to explain that it didn't make sense because I had my own money from the bike shop where I worked on weekends. Brianna's tale included flaws large enough to drive a vehicle through. Mom was not hearing it. Your father is on his way home, but I want you out of the house before he arrives. I will not keep a thief within my house. Mom, please get out. She forcefully shoved me towards the door. I threw my backpack after myself. The deadbolt was locked with a solid click. Brianna leaned against Mom's shoulder as I watched from the window. I saw Mom brush her hair and mumble things that I couldn't hear. The scenario appeared rehearsed, as if they had practiced it. I stood there for about 5 minutes before the rain started. Light drizzle at first, then torrential raindrops that soaked through my hoodie in seconds. My phone was at 14%. The garage was locked. The rear shed had a broken door but smelled like fertilizer and old paint. So I started walking. Our subdivision has security cameras, Ring doorbells, and neighborhood watch signs. Nobody was watching anymore, just vacant streets and cozy houses with families inside doing usual things. I passed the Henderson residence, where their porch light was turned on, and I could see through their window to where they were watching television together. The entire family, regular and safe, everything I thought I had 2 hours ago. I found up at Riverside Park, sitting beneath the gazebo that the Rotary Club constructed 3 years ago. The seat was moist, and leaves had accumulated in corners, turning to mush. A jogger passed past wearing earbuds. I didn't even look at the wet youngster sitting alone at 9:15 on a school night. My hands were shaky, not from cold, but from something deeper, as if my body was attempting to disengage from what was occurring. I kept repeating the incident in the kitchen, Mom's expression and Brianna's tears. The fact that neither of them took even a second to ponder if I was speaking the truth. 15 years of being their son and brother meant nothing in the face of one charge. I phoned my father at 9:38. On the third ring, he responded with a fatigued voice. What up? I'm in Riverside Park. Mom kicked me out. Brianna said I took money from her, and Mom trusted her without investigating anything, so I need you to come get me. The words came out quickly. Dad went silent for 4 seconds. Stay there. Do not move. I'm 18 minutes out. He made it in 12. His pickup drew up, its headlights cutting through the rain. I climbed inside and the heat hit me like a wall. Dad examined my face, my soaking clothing, and how I was shivering. Tell me everything. So I did. The allegation, the banking app, Mom's instant judgment, Brianna's unshed sobs, and being shut out without an opportunity to explain myself. Dad listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening with each phrase. When I finished, Dad tightened his grip on the driving wheel. You did not make those withdrawals. No. You've got your own money. Yes, from the bicycle shop. I do not need to take from Brianna, he nodded decisively. We're heading home, and we'll get to the bottom of this tonight. The journey back took 4 minutes. Every second seemed like it was leading up to something. Dad entered through the main door like a man on a mission. Mom was still on the couch with Brianna, looking content. That comfort vanished when she noticed me behind him. Thomas, I told you. You informed me there was an emergency. You didn't tell me you sent our son out in the rain without checking any facts. Mom stood up defensively. Brianna showed me the proof. Transactions can be falsified or misattributed. Where is her phone? Let's look at the proof. Brianna held her phone to her chest. Dad reached out his hand. Either show me the real proof or acknowledge you are lying. These are your alternatives. The stillness extended. Brianna's gaze shifted to Mom, hoping for backup. Mom walked forward. She does not have to prove anything to you. We understand what occurred. No. You remember what Brianna told you? That is not the same thing. Dad's voice remained level. Calm. The type of quiet that is more deadly than screaming. Brianna, please connect into your bank account on the computer right now so that we can all view the whole transaction history. Brianna hesitated. It just took half a second, but I caught it. So did Dad. She hurried to the kitchen table and opened her laptop with trembling hands. The login page has loaded. She inputted her credentials. The account summary popped up. The available balance is $743. The transaction history shows the withdrawals she mentioned. But when Dad clicked on the information, he saw ATM locations. What ATM did you use on October 6th? Brianna blinked. I can't recall. It was the corner of Maple and 5th. That's 3 blocks from your buddy Madison's home. Dad brought up Google Maps. Show me where you were that day. He began clicking through additional deals. Each one had a place. Each one related to locations Brianna had visited, according to her own social media posts. October 6th at 2:40 p.m. Photo taken at Madison's house with the caption "Study Group." At 2:58 p.m., I withdrew from an ATM 3 blocks distant. On October 14th around noon, we took a portrait at the mall with our buddies. Withdrawal from the mall, ATM at 12:26 p.m. 3 additional transactions follow the same pattern. By midnight, the heist tale was ended. That's when she shifted. This isn't even the worst part. Her voice became hushed and scared sounding. I merely referenced money to avoid discussing the actual reason I'm furious. Mom quickly moved into protective mode. What's the true reason? Brianna glanced down at her hands and began to cry. Not the performance from before. This was different and more deliberate. Last Tuesday, after everyone had left practice, he cornered me outside the equipment shed. The air became thick and toxic. I could not breathe. That never occurred. You are lying. Brianna's voice crackled. I've got bruises from where you grabbed me. She pulled up her sleeve, revealing markings on her upper arm that had yellowed but were still visible. Old enough to appear authentic, yet fresh enough to be believable. Dad's voice broke through. What day was it? Last Tuesday. What time? After practice, approximately 5:20 p.m., Dad took out his phone. Last Tuesday, October 21st. What time did practice end? 5:05, I said. So where were you after that? Bicycle store. I had a shift at 5:20. I worked until it was time to close. Dad called the bike store and placed it on speaker. The owner, Gary, responded and confirmed that I had worked the entire evening. Clocked in at 5:18 p.m. and worked until 8:50 p.m. before closing. Never left. Brianna's face became white. I meant the Tuesday prior. I became perplexed. Dad did not even blink. October 11th. On Tuesday I picked him up from practice. We headed to the Home Depot. I have a receipt. Timestamp, 5:32 p.m. Every word in the room appeared to plummet to the floor. Brianna was confined, yet she did not give up. When you've been traumatized, the days blend together. Mom grasped onto this. Of course you're puzzled, dear. Trauma does that. Dad stared at her for a long time. Then he stared at me. Get your stuff. We are leaving. Thomas. You can't simply observe me. We packed rubbish bags into his pickup in the rain. Clothing, school supplies, and my running shoes. Mom stood at the doorway, but did not attempt to stop us. Brianna remained inside, gazing via her bedroom window. I noticed the curtain shift as I looked up. I saw her face in the gap. She appeared afraid. Good. After 25 minutes, we arrived at a hotel off the highway. Dad sat on the side of the bed, head in his hands. I'll contact a lawyer tomorrow. I hope to feel relieved. Instead, I felt hollow. I awoke to voices coming through the hotel wall. There was a muffled altercation next door. The clock read 6:11 a.m. Dad was already up, sitting in a chair near the window, drinking coffee from the lobby machine. The room smelled like burned coffee and industrial cleaning agents. Welcome to rock bottom. We need to return, he said. Gather the rest of your belongings before school. The home felt different in daylight. Colder somehow. Mom was in the kitchen preparing breakfast as if it were any other Thursday. Eggs with toast. The routine is unchanged. When she saw us walk in, her expression became complex. Thomas, I believe we should all sit down and discuss this rationally. The events of yesterday night were everything from peaceful. Dad's voice sounded flat. You threw your youngster out in the rain because you opted to trust a falsehood without verifying any facts. I was guarding Brianna. She was upset. She showed me evidence. She showed you her own withdrawals, which she blamed on him. That is not proof. That was the tale you wanted to believe. Mom's mouth constricted. She turned to face me and her expression softened. Her eyes were filled with real remorse. Mason, I apologize. I actually am. I should have listened to you first. I should have reviewed everything before reacting. I was terrified about Brianna, and that clouded my judgment. I know I've wounded you, and I want to make things right. Can we simply discuss this as a family? For half a second I wanted to believe it. I hoped she knew what she had done. I then opened my mouth. You didn't ask, I said. Mom blinked. What? You didn't ask for my opinion? You did not check the ATM locations. You did not look at Brianna's posts. You've just locked the door. The softness disappeared. Her expression stiffened. I have apologized. I've confessed I was incorrect. What else do you want from me? I did not ask for anything. So what's the problem? I'm trying to remedy this, but you're being tough. I am being tough. Don't take that tone with me. I'm still your mama. Then behave like it. The words came out harsher than I intended. Mom's face turned crimson. Get your belongings and get out. If you want to live with your father while being rude, that is okay. But don't come crying to me when you understand what you've sacrificed. Dad tried to say something, but I had already gone upstairs. The rest of my belongings fit into 2 duffel bags. Posters remained on the walls. Trophies remained on the shelf. I did not want anything to remind me of this location. Brianna entered in my doorway as I was packing, still in her pajamas and with her hair unkempt. She appeared younger without the performance. Can we speak? No. I didn't intend for this to get out of hand. I continued packing. Did not glance at her. If you don't move out of my way, I'll walk through you. Her voice became smaller, shaky and unusual. Mom is going to find out about the other stuff. The true reason I needed the money. When she does, the consequences will be dire. That made me pause, turn around. For a brief moment, I saw terror in her eyes. There's a real panic. She seemed to have underestimated something and was only now understanding how deep the hole was. Then you should find out how to spin it because you're so excellent at it. Her face wrinkled. I was afraid. I wasn't sure what else to do. You might have said the truth. You couldn't have blamed me. You had alternatives. I understand. I apologize. I actually am. I gazed at her. Really looked. I saw the girl with whom I used to build blanket forts as a child. The one who would sneak me Halloween goodies after Mom told me I'd eaten enough. That guy felt like a fictitious character. The truth is, Brianna, I don't believe you regret doing it. I believe you are sad it did not work. I closed my bag and moved past her. She did not try to stop me. The rented home became our new normal. A little 2-bedroom house across town. Dad purchased a coffee machine, and we established a morning routine. He'd prepare breakfast before his shift. I would get myself to school. Over dinner, we would swap notes on how the day had gone. It was quiet, often too quiet, but it was genuine. The carpet was simple beige and had seen better decades. Kitchen with 1980s countertops, but it was ours. No acts, no walking on eggshells, just me and my father figuring out how to live without the continuous drama. Dad began seeing someone around Thanksgiving. Karen, the school nurse from 2 districts over. When my father stated that I had a cold, she stopped by one Saturday with homemade soup. Did not strive to be a mother. Just treated me like a normal person who happened to live there. That meant more than she probably realized. School became a new type of torment. By Monday, everyone was aware that something had happened. The rumor began tiny. Brianna is unhappy. Family drama. Mason moved out. Normal gossip. Then it developed. When I came into first period, Tyler refused to make eye contact. At lunch, the cross-country table had an empty seat where I normally sat. Nobody mentioned anything. They just ate and spoke in the area I used to occupy. The quiet seemed louder than any allegation. People I'd known since elementary school suddenly couldn't recall my name. Girls who used to say hello in the halls went to the other side when they spotted me approaching. The social death happened quickly. Wednesday afternoon, Ms. Collins summoned me to the counselor's office. Principal Davenport was waiting at the window. The door closed with a last sound. Mason, we have received an official complaint about your interactions with another student. She slipped a document across the desk. This is a notice of accusations. You have the right to react in writing within 7 school days. I took up the paper. Official letterhead, clinical language, an accusation on or about October 21, 2020, at around 5:20 p.m. near the athletics equipment shed. Student A claims that you made unwelcome sexual contact. Student A did not even mention Brianna's name, as if they were shielding an anonymous victim from a terrible predator. As if we were not siblings who grew up in the same house. The institutional jargon made things worse. They turned me into a case file. An issue to be resolved, not a person. This is about my sister lying to conceal theft from her own account. You can check anything with my father. We have proof. I wasn't even there. Davenport interjected. We take all allegations seriously. Regardless of family links or conflicting tales, you are immediately pulled from the cross-country squad awaiting an inquiry. You are also required to maintain no communication with the complaint. She gave me another letter. Immediate suspension from extracurricular activities. Mandatory meeting with the district's Title IX coordinator. Failure to comply will result in expulsion. I stepped out of that office, and the corridor seemed different. People stepped away from me, creating space as if I were infected. That night, a client visited the bike shop. Woman in her 40s. I had seen her at school gatherings. She took one glance at me, turned around and departed without saying anything. Gary saw and took me aside after closing. "Are you okay, kid?" "Yeah. Do you need to chat about anything?" "Not really." He nodded. I didn't push. "You are an excellent worker. I'm not going anywhere." I appreciated it more than I could express. Dad hired a lawyer called Miranda 3 days later. During our first meeting, she sat across from us with a legal pad and spoke 3 words that changed everything. Document everything. Now she told me to screenshot every lie, preserve every text, note every place with timestamps, and create a timeline so thorough that even the most tenuous charge would crumble against it. I started to carry a pocket notepad. I wrote down where I was, when I was there, and who saw me. I saved receipts from the bike store, texts from my father, and images with metadata intact. I began considering my own life as a crime scene requiring proof. The machine continued grinding. Brianna's closest friend, Madison, shared an Instagram story about standing with survivors and believing in women that didn't mention me, but everyone knew who she was referring to. 260 likes in 1 hour. My cousin Nolan, Brianna's age and popular student council president, arranged a survivor support rally after lunch and staged it on the quad so that everyone could witness. Brianna discussed finding her voice and not letting fear stop her. I watched through the library window. 68 students turned up with signs and yelled about faith in survivors. Nolan stood at the front with his megaphone, doing what he usually did: halt mid-sentence and survey the audience to ensure everyone was watching. Everything was a show for him. Every cause is simply another line on his college application. He'd reference legendary activists he'd never heard of before, and he'd close each speech with his hands squeezed together, as if he was praying for us all. Nobody mentioned my name. They did not have to. Someone slashed both of my bike tires 3 days later, leaving them flat in the parking lot. Someone spray painted something on my locker that maintenance covered, but the outline was still visible through the fresh paint. Someone initiated a petition to have me removed for the protection of female students. I collected 417 signatures in 2 days. Nolan was responsible for the most of it. Golden lad, future lawyer, moral crusader who thought I was the ideal villain for his hero narrative. Dad wanted to press charges. Miranda warned against it. They are attempting to provoke you. Do not give them ammo. So I took it. I absorbed the hatred. I became a ghost in my own school. The weeks went by in a flurry of meetings with the Title IX coordinator, who asked the same questions in various orders, as if she was trying to catch me lying, documents to fill out, and statements to write. Each session seemed like a trial for something I hadn't done. The coordinator would sit there with her clipboard, asking me to explain my location, my connection with Brianna, and why I believed she would lie. Each inquiry implied guilt. Every answer was suspicious. I began bringing Miranda to meetings so that I could have someone who believed me in the room. Then, one Friday, a teacher from my former middle school spotted me at the supermarket. Ms. Donnelly. She'd taught me 7th grade English. Taught me. They recognized me in the cereal aisle. "Mason, is this you?" I nodded. She gazed at my face. Something clicked. I learned about what was going on at the high school through the rumor mill. I did not say anything. "For what it's worth, I recognize you. I know the student who remained after class to assist arrange books, always handed in assignments on time, and never created a problem." She paused. "I do not believe it." "Thanks. Continue to be patient. Truth has a way of getting out." She squeezed my shoulder before walking away. That compassion allowed me to breathe for another week. Lies take care, energy, and regular reinforcement. Liars eventually become tired. Brianna began sliding in November. Her Instagram stories showed her at parties, smiling, dancing, and appearing everything but terrified. She shared images at a performance with the comment, "Finally feeling free again." Miranda caught it first. I sent the screenshots to Dad with a letter. "Your daughter's conduct is not consistent with that of someone who has experienced trauma. Save everything." Then the ATM surveillance footage arrived. After weeks of delay, the bank finally delivered. The tape showed Brianna at every place and on every date she blamed solely on me. There were no evidence of coercion, simply a teenager withdrawing her own cash. The theft accusation was officially dropped. Ignore Brianna's remark fully. Focus solely on the attack story since it was more difficult to refute, but the fractures were apparent. Madison shared something on TikTok in late November, then removed it 20 minutes later, but Miranda had already screenshotted it. A video of her and Brianna at a party with text overlay. When your drama takes you out of calculus for a week. Then followed the medical record request. Miranda requested Brianna's paperwork for the claimed attack. Hospital trips, doctor's appointments, and any other evidence that she sought care for trauma or bodily injury. The school pushed back on privacy, confidentiality, and victim protection. Miranda pressed harder. If you are going to accuse someone of an attack serious enough to justify expulsion, you must provide proof. Real evidence, not Instagram postings. The records came back empty, with no visits, doctor's notes, or counselor reports. Miranda convened a conference with the school's legal team, bringing medical documents, ATM footage, my location history, witness statements, and everything. Lay it out like a prosecutor. The Title IX coordinator seemed uneasy. The school's lawyer began taking notes. They agreed to continue the investigation, but I could see it on their faces. They knew Brianna was lying. They simply didn't know how to confess it without losing their reputation. The school kept dragging its feet, organizing follow-up meetings and asking further documents as if they expected the situation to resolve itself. Every week, they would want one more piece of evidence, witness testimony, or timetable verification. Classic bureaucratic delaying. They had painted themselves into a corner by publicly supporting Brianna. And now backing down meant acknowledging they had almost ejected an innocent child. Then, before they could reach a conclusion, the full news broke. Brianna's boyfriend was arrested. Derek, a 22-year-old pill dealer, operates out of his flat. Police discovered customer lists, transaction data, and SMS communications. Brianna's name came mentioned 11 times. 4 weeks after Derek's arrest, the police arrived to Mom's house. I asked to talk with Brianna about her connection to him. Asked whether she has purchased any controlled drugs. That's when Brianna snapped. I confessed to everything. Drug usage, money, and falsehoods about myself. All of it came out because she needed to make a bargain to escape prosecution. The police report arrived on Miranda's desk 5 days later. She summoned us into her office and set it up on the conference table. Your sister confesses in her statement that she made up the theft charge to mask drug transactions. She also acknowledges that the assault claim was made to divert attention as the theft tale began to unravel. I glanced at the words in black ink on white paper. Official confession. What will happen now? We deliver this to the school. Demand complete reinstatement. All records are expunged, and the error is publicly acknowledged. The school resisted it for 3 weeks. I attempted to arrange a discreet conclusion in which they would clean my record, but not admit fault. Miranda said no. We may either seek public recognition or approach the media and the school board. They relented. Principal Davenport delivered a statement during an all-school assembly. Brief, dry business rhetoric addressing new knowledge and faults made the investigation. Throughout, Brianna's name was never mentioned, nor was mine. Just broad statements about ensuring fairness in the future were used. The assembly was obligatory. Everyone poured into the gym. I stood in the back row, watching Davenport stand at the podium, appearing as if she'd rather be anywhere else. The statement took around 75 seconds. Then she dismissed everyone. That was all. Months of anguish condensed into a minute and a half of business talk. Nolan sat 4 rows ahead of me in the assembly. Did not turn around. Did not apologize. Just gazed straight ahead, as if a man had realized his cause was built on sand. After the assembly, Coach Bennett met me in the corridor. Mason, we would love to have you back. State championships are coming soon. I gazed at him, remembering how fast he let me go when it counted. I'm good. Are you sure? We could definitely use it. I said, I'm good. I walked away without looking back. The formal exoneration did not solve anything. Rather, it highlighted the harm. My reputation was still radioactive. Those who had signed the petition did not apologize. They just pretended they never believed it in the first place. Tyler attempted to reconcile. I showed up at the rented house one Saturday with pizza. Hello, guy. I know things got strange. I simply wanted to apologize for not being there when you needed someone. I let him talk for about 3 minutes. You have known me since 4th grade. We ran every mile together, and the moment someone shared a tale, you left. That's everything I need to know. He left the pizza and didn't return. But I wasn't pleased with simply going away. Miranda assisted me in filing a civil lawsuit. Defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress on Brianna, particularly. We did not ask for money. I asked for something better. Courtroom testimony under oath. Public admission of the falsehoods. Brianna's lawyer attempted to reach a settlement. Offered compensation, secrecy, and mutual non-disparagement. Miranda laughed in his face. My client does not desire money. He seeks truth. The case progressed through the system. Depositions and discovery. Brianna was under oath, acknowledging every lie, premeditated move and moment, and she'd chosen to continue the tale even though she knew it was harming me. Watching her deposition was bizarre. She sat in a conference room with a lawyer beside her, answering question after question about the falsehoods. Why she fabricated the theft charge, elevated it to assault, and allowed it to continue for months. Each answer made her appear smaller and more desperate. The performance was over. Just a girl who dug a hole and continued to dig. Her lawyer kept attempting to portray her as a victim of circumstance. A nervous girl makes poor decisions under pressure. Miranda demolished it with surgical skill, demonstrating the time frame. The social media posts praising her strong stance. Coordination with Nolan and Madison. The total absence of trauma symptoms. Brianna was in tears at the end. Real tears. Not performance. The weight of consequences has finally landed. We settled before going to trial. Brianna agreed to provide a public retraction on every platform she had used to propagate the charges. There is no wriggle space or softening allowed in court-approved wording. She had to explain unequivocally that she had invented the assault complaint, lied about the theft, that I had done nothing wrong, and that she accepted full responsibility for the damage done. The posts went online in August. The fallout was swift. Nolan removed his social media accounts. Madison issued a vague apologies for learning lessons and was ridiculed in the comments. Mom cried and begged Dad to have me drop the suit. Dad said that Brianna was to blame for the disaster. She could live there. Senior year, I concentrated on two things: academics and getting out. There's no drama, no social life, just applications, essays, and plans for somewhere far away. Dad and Karen became increasingly serious. She began attending Sunday dinners at our house. She brought her daughter Haley on several occasions. The girl was 15, quietly read fantasy literature. We ended up discussing novels one evening as Dad and Karen handled the grill. It was my first regular discussion in months. I was accepted to a public school 5 hours north. Full scholarship for industrial design program. In August, just before my freshman year, Dad helped me pack the vehicle. Before we went, he gave me something. Old shoebox from his closet. What is this? Letters from your mother and Brianna. They have been sending them to the house. I preserved these in case you wish to read them. I looked at the packaging. There must be 34 letters in there. Different handwriting and postmarks. Would you want to read them? Dad asked. I thought about it for approximately 12 seconds. Then I gave back the package. Burn them. Dad did not argue, only nodded. That weekend we had a fire in our backyard. The letters were delivered one by one. I watched as they curled, blackened, and turned to ash. It did not seem victorious, rather essential. College was different. Nobody knew my tale. I was just another freshman, trying to figure out where the dining hall and library were. I joined the intramural running club. I became buddies with my roommate, started dating a lady in my design class. Her name was Sophie. Funny and forthright, she didn't take herself too seriously. We'd been dating for 7 months before she asked about my family. I told her the truth. All of it. Lies, seclusion, lawsuits, and letter burning. She listened without interrupting. After I finished, she was quiet for a minute. That's rather hefty. Yes. Your sister sounds like a piece of work. That's one way to phrase it. Are you all right now? I thought about it. Really thought about it, getting there. She kissed my forehead. We watched a movie, and she didn't mention it again unless I did. That's when I realized she was different. I graduated with my degree in hand. Spend the next 7 years establishing a career at a company that creates sustainable agricultural equipment. I got engaged to Sophie. We selected an apartment with decent heat and non-leaking windows. Dad visited 3 times a year. I brought Karen. We'd go to breweries and speak about usual topics. He never mentioned Mom or Brianna unless I specifically asked. I didn't ask. Brianna attempted to contact out again last month. Email from a cousin. Said she was in rehab and worked on herself. I hoped we could find peace eventually. I removed it without replying. The doorbell rang 3 weeks ago. on a Sunday afternoon. Sophie was out buying groceries. I opened the door, anticipating a delivery. Mom and Brianna stood on the porch. They appeared older and weathered. Mom's hair has become more gray. Brianna had lost weight, and her face was drawn. She looked nothing like the girl who used to command every room. She was exhausted and hollowed out. The air had an October bite to it. It's not quite chilly enough for a jacket, but it's enough to get your attention. The same weather as that night years ago when everything began. The trees on our block were already changing, with leaves turning brown around the edges. For a split second, I forgot how to breathe. Then muscle memory kicked in. "What are you doing here?" Mom's voice sounded smaller than I recalled. "We wanted to chat and attempt to make things right." My hand trembled against the doorknob. I could sense a cold seeping in. The same October chill as that night years ago. "There is nothing to make right. Mason, please." Brianna's voice crackled. "I realize I can't change what I did, but I'm different now. I am sober. I am in treatment. I'd want to apologize. I'm really sorry." I stared at her, trying to discover something that reminded me of family. Came up empty. "You have already apologized. The settlement compelled you. That was all I needed. It was lawful. Here it is." Mom walked forward. "We're attempting to heal as a family." The word family sounded like fingernails on a chalkboard. "We are not a family. You stopped being my family the night you locked me outside in the rain. Brianna ceased being my sister the day she decided that wrecking my life was preferable to acknowledging she had a problem. We made errors," Mom explained. "Terrible errors. But don't you believe it's time to go forward?" I nearly laughed. "You do not get to decide when I go forward. You don't get to come here and demand forgiveness because it makes you feel better about yourself." Brianna was weeping now. "I simply want my brother back." "Then you should have considered this before allowing 417 people to join a petition branding me a predator. Before, you saw me have lunch alone every day, and did nothing to change it." The words came out harsher than I intended. But they were correct. Mom tried one more. "Mason, please. We are asking for one opportunity. One talk. That is all." I looked at them both, saw their desperation, need, and hope that I would be the stronger person, and let them off the hook. "No." I walked back and shut the door. The deadbolt clicked. The same sound it made 15 years ago. Permanent. I stood there, listening to them from the other side. Muffled voices. Eventually, footsteps were heard, and a car started and drove away. Sophie returned home 25 minutes later with groceries. Found myself sitting on the couch, looking at nothing. "You okay?" I informed her what had happened. She placed down the luggage and sat next to me. "How are you feeling?" "I do not know. Maybe empty, or just finished." She seized my hand. Did not say anything else. Just sat with me while the afternoon light faded outside. That night, I had a dream about the gazebo in Riverside Park. The moist seat, leaves and corners. But this time when I looked up, Dad's vehicle had already arrived. The headlights sliced through the downpour. I awoke at roughly 2:47 a.m. Sophie was sleeping next to me. The flat was peaceful and safe. I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the street below. There are no vehicles or people, only streetlights. And the tranquility that comes from realizing you don't owe anyone your misery. Some bridges aren't worth repairing. Some people do not earn second opportunities. Brianna made her decisions. Mom created hers. I created mine.